Update. Am I the a-hole for stopping my boyfriend's proposal at our best friend's wedding? Original post. I, 26 female, and my boyfriend, 25 male, attended a mutual friend's wedding. They're very close friends to us and brought my boyfriend and I together. My boyfriend and I are coming up on our 3-year anniversary and things were getting pretty serious. Enough so that I very much wanted to marry him. He's sweet, chatty, typically considerate and empathetic. He's the person who I thought was the first to show me what a truly healthy and compassionate relationship was like. He's very serious about us too. We've had long talks about marriage, and it seemed we were in agreement with no formal declaration. We had even gotten as far as looking at rings, so the chance of a proposal was more of a when, not if. A few weeks before the wedding, us and the engaged couple at the time were hanging out. The topic of weddings was very prevalent, and my boyfriend had cracked a joke about proposing at our friend's wedding. The groom-to-be joked back and said, "That'd be funny as heck." This was followed by me and the bride-to-be both shutting it down, trying to be serious, but also not thinking he was serious. He was. During the reception, everyone had made their speeches and people were getting their food. While our table was waiting, my boyfriend went up to the DJ, and after, they played my boyfriend and I's favorite song to scream-sing in the car together, "Story of My Life" by One Direction. I look at him, smiling, and he's looking around. All of a sudden, he grabs a fork, stands up, and begins clanging on a glass. Immediately, the whole dining room looks over. I stand up and whisper the words, "Not right now." His face drops, and he yells a mix of, "I'm sorry, I was just joking." After he sat back down, I verbatim said, "Let them have their moment. Let's not make this our own." He wouldn't even look at me. When it was time to get our food, he immediately goes toward the exit. I follow and try to catch up to him, but couldn't find him. I text him twice and call him a couple times, but got no answer. So I went back to the reception. After not hearing from him for about an hour and a half or so, he returns, sits down, and doesn't even look at me. The rest of the night was terrible. He looked like his dog just died, and I'm trying to make the best out of the night, but felt like I was just in his shadow. I was prepping for a breakdown or maybe a fight in the car, but the only thing he said was, "I don't want to talk about it right now." And the drive was just quiet and awkward. He sent me a long text about how hard it was to get the ring, how he felt rejected by his closest person, and that I embarrassed him. I tried to explain that it's not that I didn't want to marry him. It was our best friend's wedding and they deserve their moment. That we should create our own and not piggyback off theirs. He got offended and said that if I wanted to marry him, I wouldn't have stopped his proposal in front of everybody. This situation perplexes me. I've never seen the appeal of proposing at someone else's wedding and tried to handle the situation in a way that I felt was calm and chill. But he's very adamant that I ruined the proposal, made him look like an a-hole, and thus I'm the a-hole. Am I missing something? Should I admit I was wrong and have just let his proposal go at our friend's wedding? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. The bride-to-be is one of your best friends and was not down with your man proposing at her wedding. Who cares if the groom thinks it would be funny? This is a 2 yes type situation from the married couple. Also, his own girlfriend told him not to propose at their wedding. This is what turns it into red flag territory. She explicitly told him not to do it there, as did the bride. Now he's mad because they meant what they said. That's not a good sign. Not the a-hole. It was bad taste for him to propose at the wedding. It would have been unfair to the bride and groom, not to mention tacky. He needs to get over it and move on. Out of all the possible scenarios to propose, he chose the worst options. You did the right thing by stopping him. No one knew he was going to propose, so he shouldn't feel embarrassed. I did try to tell him that. Our friends, the literal hosts, weren't even that mad after I explained the situation. They just said thank you for stopping him and no one else really said anything about it. He doesn't really care that they were not okay with him proposing at their wedding. He is selfish. Remember little details through your relationship. Good luck. He also didn't care about enjoying his friend's wedding past his proposal. The more I think on it, I'm low-key wondering if he didn't want to plan the whole proposal. He kept talking about proposing in front of everyone. He completely ignored the person he wants to marry and the ones getting married. I bet he was like, oh man, this is perfect. It'll be the perfect setting. Everyone will already be there. It'll look romantic, and there will already be photographers there, etc. Basically, a free date night he didn't have to plan, because otherwise, he would have listened to the woman he wants to marry and not did it then. Now for the update. Hi all, this is an update from a post I made 2 days ago. I responded to a few comments, but before proceeding with our convo, I read almost every comment, hoping to gain new perspectives and see the situation I presented from a different light. After I got home from the wedding, my boyfriend and I texted back and forth. After he went to bed, I made my Reddit post because I absolutely felt like an a-hole. I was second-guessing everything and thought the night would have gone better if I had just let him do his thing. After seeing the responses to my post, I'm more solidified in that I made the right decision. Yes, the night was ruined, but I'd be more comfortable with my life moving forward. I gave my boyfriend and myself a day to think about this and come back with clearer heads. That was yesterday. I took a lot of people's advice and tried to reflect on if this behavior was a grand showing of any smaller reaction. The stonewalling isn't super new. In fights at the start of our relationship, he would get quiet and make a small showing of secluding himself. I'd counter this by giving my boyfriend his space and telling him that moving forward, to just say he didn't have the words to talk about it and we can reconvene when we're ready to talk. This worked for us. It gave him time to choose his words. We'd have a good discussion of what went wrong and how we could fix it moving forward. I didn't think that he was overtly trying to make me feel worse by the silent treatment back then. However, ignoring me for the rest of our time at the wedding hurt so much. Not even saying, I just need space right now, and rejecting to hold my hand by pulling away felt like he was pseudo-counter-rejecting me. This was a first. I felt like he was trying to make me feel worse through his lack of communication. That's all I noticed. I've had a partner be verbally abusive to me before, and another who wasn't willing to talk about things they did wrong, refusing to take any blame. My boyfriend hasn't done any of that. I'm not saying I recognize all patterns of abuse, but I'd say I'm versed in a few. There's also been no real history of me catering to him constantly as others were asking. If either person had strong feelings one way or another in different scenarios, we'd often be fine with that person getting their way. Otherwise, if we both didn't care all that much, he loves to use a wheel-spinning website to make decisions, and I think it's cute. We met earlier today. He came over and we sat in my living room. He broke down. He vehemently apologized and said he felt like an a-hole. He said he had been reflecting all of yesterday and talking to his dad about the situation. His dad got mad at him and talked him off his ego crash. His words, not mine. He had already sent a message to our friends, now flying to their honeymoon in West Europe, apologizing for making their most important day about him and for not properly celebrating them. I asked why he neglected our conversation from months before. He said that the groom and their group of friends had egged him on in private since, not to propose at the wedding, but to do it soon. He didn't originally plan on doing it at the wedding. He's had the ring with him for about a month, never had any real plan, and wanted it to just be spontaneous. He told me he got caught up in the atmosphere of the wedding, saw his best friend with his girl, and couldn't stop picturing us in the same scenario. His urge overran his common sense, in his terms, and he made a choice he ultimately wishes he could take back. It very much spiraled from there. I noted that while his heart was in the right place, that doesn't excuse the crap storm he put me through after. I expressed to him that ignoring me really hurt me, that him saying my rejection to his proposal was the reason for his embarrassment and shutdown was unfair, especially since we had already established for him not to do that. He accepted this and continued to apologize, admitting it was very unfair of him and that he should have handled his emotions and embarrassment better, especially towards me. We had a lull in our conversation after he asked, "Where do we go from here?" At this point, I didn't want to just return back to normal. A day where I expressed to him that I felt the prettiest in a long time, expected us to have enormous fun and watch our best friends have their moment to shine, turned into a day where I was crying in my room reading Reddit comments about how I should break up with him. I genuinely thought I was the a-hole who should have just bit the bullet and accepted a proposal in a way that I and others thought wasn't okay. I told him that if we were to move forward, he needed to seek a therapist to help him manage his emotions. Not only from this, but other signs that he may have a panic disorder. My mom works for a mental health clinic and has offered resources before. I said that I needed time to rebuild my trust in him. He understood and is going to seek mental health resources through my mom's clinic. Until then, we'll be on a week or so break with an open channel of communication. He's going to find appropriate channels to better himself, and I'm going to take myself on a mini vacation after the emotional roller coaster that was this weekend. We did talk about what each other's ideal proposal was, something we should have talked about before the trigger was even pulled on it. I said that I didn't care for anything fancy. I just prefer it not to be public. He said that he wanted to make a grand showing of love to me and didn't care where or how. He asked if it was okay to have friends and family present or if that broke my public rule. I said that was fine and was happy with a communicative compromise. I also stated that I didn't want to be proposed to for a while, so that we could let this situation rest and figure ourselves out from here. He accepted this. Something I thought was really sweet that I wanted to mention was that before he left, he said, "I do think I owe you some dancing." And so we slow danced in my living room for about a half hour until he left. A small and romantic action, probably to earn brownie points, but the conversation did reassure me that he's willing to try and be better. He recognized he was in the wrong and that a joyful day was robbed by pride and not rejection. This was about as ideal of an outcome as I'd hoped. Thank you all for taking time out of your days to reply and bring me back to earth. Thank you to those who messaged me in private to make sure I was okay or to give input. While the future is still obscure, it's a little clearer than it was a couple of days ago. I have a clearer understanding now of what I want and what's healthy. Moving forward, I will do every ounce of weighing before I enter what should be the most important commitment you can make to a person you love, and I'll keep a more careful eye on his behaviors and how he may react to adverse situations. I hope the best for you all as many have for me. Finally, someone who actually talked it out as adults, rather than just jumping to immediately discussing ending the relationship. I'm glad you guys made up and made proactive steps to actually mend the relationship. Shout out to the dad for giving the boyfriend a reality check. I picture the poor guy face palming so hard his soul almost left his body after hearing the stunt his son made. Oh yeah, poor dad had to be thinking, "Oh my god, I've raised an idiot." My word, I missed the first post, so I'm just catching up. What a situation. I hope you are really proud of yourself. That was a really difficult position to be put in, and you handled it really well. I'm very impressed. To come out of it with such a grown-up solution, and to have managed in the moment, under extreme pressure, to not derail your friend's wedding is a minor triumph. Whatever happens next, you have really done well here, and it won't be your fault if it fails to work out. I wish you all the best, and hope you both get the proposal you want in the end. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé he has to cut off his friend group if he wants to marry me? I've been with my fiancé for 8 years and we recently got engaged. Overall, things are great, but there's one thing I've always hated: his main group of friends. One of them is actually my ex. Yeah, awkward, but that's not even the issue. The whole group is full of guys who cheat, go to strip clubs constantly, brag about hooking up with random girls, and just have zero respect for relationships. My ex especially loves to say cheating is normal and tries to push that mindset onto the others. Honestly, they're all the worst. My fiancé has never cheated and I do trust him. But I've told him I don't want these people around us long term. Not around our future kids, not in our lives. I said straight up that if we're getting married, this is a non-negotiable. He can stay friends with anyone who's moved on from that behavior, but the group as a whole? No thanks. He thinks I'm being controlling and says I'm asking him to throw away years of friendship. Some friends say I'm being too harsh. Others totally get it. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. The ex I mentioned is someone I dated back in high school. It was not serious, just a typical young relationship. He was not the way he is now back then. We broke up after high school and did not stay in touch. 4 years later, I met my now fiancé. I had no idea he was friends with my ex until after we started dating. By then, the ex was already in a long-term relationship. I think they have been together for around 6 to 7 years now. The first few years of my relationship were fine. His friend group seemed okay. We all hung out sometimes, even with the girlfriends, and there was nothing shady. No one talked about cheating or anything like that. But over the past 2 to 3 years, things changed. Every time my fiancé invited me to hang out with them, the conversations became uncomfortable. They talked about women, going to bars and clubs where you have to pay for women to sit at your table, and just acted like cheating was normal. I felt really off about the whole group and I started distancing myself. I told my fiancé multiple times how I felt. He says he does not go with them to those places and only sees them to play basketball or chill at someone's house. But honestly, I'm starting to question whether I have been too trusting. As for the ex's current girlfriend, she actually knows about everything. She told me she is aware of how they act and what they do, but said she would never tell anyone because they trust her. That really rubbed me the wrong way. It felt like she was proud of keeping their secrets, even if it meant protecting cheating. I decided to cut her off immediately after that conversation. I do not want someone like that in my life. It's cute that you think he's hanging out with a bunch of cheaters and he's not one too. Laughing out loud. If he hangs out with them while they act this way, he's at least okay with that behavior, more probably taking active part in it. Men are very different with their male friends than with their partners or mixed friends, and will go above and beyond to cover each other's nonsense. I've learned it the hard way by being one of the guys, not my happiest phase in life. How so many women still eat blatant lies about their man being the only good guy in a terrible group is honestly beyond me. Bet OP's boyfriend is a regular at the strip club just like the others. I was a stripper for 10 years. OP's boyfriend has definitely been in plenty of strip clubs with his friends, but he's the stingy one who doesn't tip because he's a better man than that. He sits at the bar and sneaks looks. You're the a-hole. You can't wait 8 years and then demand he cut them off. Either you trust him or you don't. Totally agree. OP's logic makes no sense to me. So, he can stay in the friend group while dating for a solid 8 years, but not if married? If you have to get your way by threat and not someone voluntarily making the decision, what's the point?